everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Chicago Bulls and Memphis Grizzlies game reaction. The Chicago Bulls started this game slow, ladies and gentlemen, and it felt like we didn't have much of a chance in this game. However, in the fourth quarter, things turned around for the Chicago Bulls. We gave ourselves an opportunity to fight back and potentially win this game against the Memphis Grizzlies. However, we just didn't have enough at the end of the day. We're going to be talking all about it in this video, but before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who was your player of the game and your overall thoughts as the Chicago Bulls 6-game win streak comes to an end against the Grizzlies? We lost this game 116 to 110, and overall, look, I have to give full credit to the Chicago Bulls for continuing to fight in a game like this where all looks lost, where we look like we didn't have a chance to win the game. To come back 17 points down against a really gritty defensive Memphis Grizzlies team, a team that was out-rebounding us the whole night, out-hustling us the whole night, working harder than us most of the night. You got to give full credit to the Chicago Bulls team for fighting back in all of those circumstances. However, we did fall short to the Memphis Grizzlies. And there are a few positives to take away from a game like this. There's a lot of mistakes and a lot of negatives that we can take away from a game like this. I guess the first thing to say is obviously it sucks to see that our win streak has now gone away. Our 6-game win streak is over. And again, with a lot of tough games continuing to happen for the Chicago Bulls, it's a really upsetting feat knowing that you don't have that win streak to kind of back you up now. We've lost a game against the Memphis Grizzlies at home, a game I really would have liked to take away. But I've been saying it all week. Memphis is not a pushover team. They've won 40 games for a reason. And today they showed why they have won 42 games on their season. They are playing really strong basketball. They've been doing the same thing to every single team, almost every single game. There's a reason why they're playing winning basketball like this. Of course, I think they lost 2 games in a row, to be fair, coming into this game, but that just makes them even more hungry to go after that win, and they got their win. For the Chicago Bulls, there were a few mistakes I wanted to discuss and get out of the way, but I guess the positive for the Chicago Bulls first is that it feels good to see Zach LaVine have a good game once again. It's been a while since Zach LaVine has really stepped up and had that incredible Zach LaVine performance that we've come to know from him. He's been struggling with injuries, of course, and his efficiency hasn't always been great. I don't have the exact stats with me, and I'm not going to really talk about much individual performances in terms of stats, but Zach LaVine having a bigger game today really was the key to us staying in the game. Again, we needed someone of that offensive caliber to just keep on pushing and keep on striving for the Chicago Bulls team to do well. And Zach LaVine was the guy today. DeMar DeRozan, in the end, was one of the big differences in how we came close to the game to potentially getting blown out if he didn't have his performance. But in my eyes, Zach LaVine was the one that kept us in this game. So I have to give full credit to Zach LaVine. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan ended up coming alive as well in the second half. You got to give credit to him. And those were the real big positives. I think Tristan Thompson had a good game once again, and I'll get to Tristan Thompson later because I feel like the Bulls are not utilizing him at his best, and that's the second game now for the Chicago Bulls. We've seen 2 games from Tristan Thompson, and to be honest, I think we could use him better, and we'll get into that in the video as well. Looking at the mistakes, first things first, that them outworking us at home should not be a talking point at all. I find that very upsetting to know that Memphis are a team that has a lot of deflections. They've got a lot of 50-50 chances and all of that nature. And that comes down to work. That comes down to being outworked by a team that is known for being in the grindhouse of some sorts. They grind out teams. They work harder than teams, and that's how they get their wins. But at home, that should not be a talking point. Yes, we came back 17 points. We had to work very hard to get there. And I'm not saying we didn't work hard, but at home, we have to work harder than the opposing team. That's home court advantage for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give a huge shout out to the fans today for kind of bringing the Chicago Bulls team back. It was loud in the United Center, and it needed every single bit of that noise for us to even have a conversation within this game. But yeah, being outworked, I don't really like that. But at the end of the day, that is something that did happen. That's a negative that I don't want to see in the future. The next home game that we have, we need to outwork the other team. The rebounding is obviously a big issue as well. Again, Steven Adams nearly had a double-double in the first quarter, and he had, I believe, over 20 boards in the game. But it's not even just him, ladies and gentlemen. The whole rebounding instance in this team, we had so many chances to secure a rebound, and either it slips out of our hands or two players are fighting for it at the same time, and it goes out of both of their players' hands. And Memphis had a hold of that game. They had so many opportunities. Later on in the fourth quarter, when we were 2 points down, opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for Memphis kept on occurring because of rebounds and the Chicago Bulls not securing their own rebounds. And that's upsetting because, in my opinion, if we had even a glimpse of securing a rebound within those 2 points, I honestly would go out on a limb and say we would win the game. That's how much of an impact that rebounding sequence was. And throughout the whole game, rebounding was an issue for the Chicago Bulls. Second chance opportunities and second chance points were big problems for the Chicago Bulls. And that is something that leads to my third real big critique of this game. And I'm going to give it to the coaching staff, ladies and gentlemen, because I understand we have a set lineup. We have a set rotation, we have set minutes, and very unlikely will you see those set minutes deterred. But in a game like this, where you clearly see the weaknesses in the team, and you know there's a player there that you can bring on to help in that instance, in my opinion, I don't understand why the coaching staff would not try to get a bigger body into this team when we clearly saw that we were getting out-rebounded and outworked on the glass. And that's when Billy Donovan, in my opinion, and the whole coaching staff gets critiqued. Because in my opinion, Tristan Thompson should have ended this game for the Chicago Bulls. They had, for the majority of the time, they were playing Steven Adams, one of the best screeners in the game, obviously had a terrific rebounding night, outworked Vucevic in the paint all night. And that's a big critique of Vucevic, but we'll get to that later. But Steven Adams is one of those guys that is just a really physical, good screener, good rebounder, takes his points when given to him, all of these things. They also play Jaren Jackson Jr. right beside him, not one after the other, not a backup center and starting center. They play Jaren Jackson Jr. right next to him, the best shot blocker in the NBA. Obviously, he had a hard time today, but that is not the point. We're playing Nikola Vucevic, who, to be fair, had his decent rebounding performance. Not great in the paint offensively, but it's not even the offense that I'm talking about. And we had Javonte Green, who, to be honest, had a really good offensive night. I believe he had 11 points. It was 5 from 5 or whatever it was from the field and all of that. That was good from Javonte Green. But in my opinion, you see the big weakness there. And we brought in a 6'9", 6'10" Tristan Thompson that can work his way out to the perimeter, that can grab rebounds, showed his worth to the Chicago Bulls today. A lot of the big run that we went on started with Tristan Thompson. And yet we didn't close the game with him. We sat him out. We even brought Derrick Jones Jr. on in the late instances of the game where we could have used Tristan Thompson as that defensive-minded big man. I don't get that at all. I don't like having to talk about that as a big topic of discussion, but I don't see why we can't use Tristan Thompson in other areas besides the backup center. And that's the same thing we've been talking about with players like Tony Bradley as well. And Tyler Cook. It's not just Tristan Thompson. It's an ongoing theme that we are not using the bigger guys. A guy like Tristan Thompson, who has been proven to guard players like Jaren Jackson. He can guard players like Jaren Jackson. Yet, all of a sudden, we decide not to use them. We go with Javonte Green, who does add other aspects. He can shoot the corner three, and yes, he is very athletic. He can go out and grab rebounds. But I just don't get why we can't really use Tristan Thompson, Tyler Cook, Tony Bradley, whoever we're playing on the night. If we need a rebounding presence, we need to see bigger bodies in this team. And today was one of those games where we simply just needed a bigger body in there. We needed someone to help Vucevic out on the boards. We needed someone that was going to stop Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson from just bullying the paint and taking everything that they wanted out of the Chicago Bulls. Those second chance opportunities, I won't say it's not a problem, but it'd be much less of an issue if Tristan Thompson played even a small amount of minutes at the power forward position today. So Billy Donovan, the coaching staff, whatever the decision is behind that, I honestly think that is 100% the wrong decision. And again, that's coming from a fan. I'm not a coach. I don't know the ins and outs of the rotation as much as they do. But surely in a game like this, adjustments had to be made. And I felt like we did not make many adjustments. I felt like Grizzlies got cold and the Bulls heated up. But the adjustments that we needed to make, I don't think was made properly. So that's something that we have to change in the future. And I honestly am very fearful that when we are getting bullied and we are getting big balls by other teams, we're not going to be making those adjustments. That's my biggest fear. In the playoffs, if we're versing a team like, let's say, the Milwaukee Bucks, and they have Bobby Portis and Giannis, and they're playing big ball and they're doing all the right things, or again, a team like Philly that can play big, things of that nature, maybe we need two bigger guys, yet we're not going to do it because our adjustments, we've never done it before. So this is the time to experiment with things like this, and I feel like we're not going to do it, and that is the scary part of this game and of the previous games as well. I thought at least once or twice you would see bigger bodies come into this team when we really need the size, but we just haven't done it, and I don't know if we ever will. So that's something that we need to hopefully see in the future, and those are the biggest problems that I took away from the Chicago Bulls game against Memphis. Again, you got to give full respect to the Bulls for fighting back. A lot of teams would have just bowed out of this game, but we fought back. We tried our very best to go out and win the game, and we have opportunities. We had opportunities to win this game. It just wasn't enough. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan's 35-game streak ends today. He got 31 points, and he got 2 technicals, and he got ejected from the game. It is what it is. Again, history making. He made that history already. It was up to him whether it was to continue or not. Today's game, it did not continue, and we'll move on to the next one. So my must improve is probably going to be Nikola Vucevic. I feel like he went too far into the perimeter today. And again, being the third option and getting 11 points, I think it was, it's not good enough in my opinion. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. DeMar struggled today, but he still somehow wound it up with 31 points. Zach LaVine had to have a massive game, and he was due for a massive game today against Memphis. But the third option of this team was non-existent, and that is Nikola Vucevic. I get it. Steven Adams is there. He's a great player. He's a big body. You can't do the things you do in the paint with Steven Adams in there. But when you go too far out into the perimeter, where's the outcome going to be? Because you didn't score a three-pointer either. You have to find the balance. You still have to try your best to take it into the paint. And again, adjustments could have been made where Vucevic was on smaller guys today. Again, and we just didn't see that either. So it is what it is. I'm not going to be complaining too much about it. We lost the game. We've got to move on. The player of the game for me personally, I'm going to give it to Zach LaVine. If you give it to DeMar, fair enough. He did have a good game himself, but I thought Zach LaVine really kept us in this game where DeMar DeRozan was struggling. And in that instance, throughout the whole game, I thought Zach LaVine was the one. His shot selection still a bit weary. I'm not sure if it's ever going to change from that, but again, he stepped up today, and that's where you got to give him the credit. The Bulls' record, I believe, is 39 wins and 22 losses. Again, we won 6 games in a row, and we're bound to lose one eventually. We're versing really tough teams ahead. So losing to Memphis, in my opinion, is not the worst loss in the world, but it's a loss that I think we could have had a chance to rectify, and we didn't do it, at least in today's game. We got a tough challenge next as well. None of these games are going to be easy, ladies and gentlemen. And judging by the history of some of the teams that we faced, we could potentially be in danger of losing some of these positions that we have in terms of the Eastern Conference. We have to keep fighting, and we have to win against good opposition. Some of the critiques of this team is that we haven't beaten the best of the best yet. We haven't beaten teams like the Warriors. We haven't beaten teams like the Suns, teams like Philly, teams like obviously the Miami Heat, which we have next. That's the game. We got to find ways to beat these teams. Again, we've always been in competition with some of these teams. We fought back against some of these teams, and I really think we can beat some of these teams. But it's time to prove it now. There's no more talking about it, saying, I think they can do this, I think they can do that. They have to prove it to us now, ladies and gentlemen. They haven't beaten the Miami Heat before. We lost twice to them. Obviously, one of them we were extremely down bad with our protocols and everybody, and that was obviously a big reason why we lost. But the first time we came close, but we still managed to lose to the Miami Heat. This game has to be different. We need to find a way to beat the Miami Heat, to gain more confidence ahead of a really tough schedule that we're going to be facing. So Miami's going to be an interesting test. Obviously, I believe if we beat them, we'll end up securing first in the Eastern Conference. I think they remain first at the moment with this loss. We'll wait and see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, the Bulls could deliver on a very important game. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.